Hello and welcome and Happy New Year. We're really building up for a good new year, which comes in stages. First there's Rosh Hashanah, then there's Yom Kippur, and now there is Sukkot. So Rosh Hashanah is a very formal time when we establish our relationship with God formally for the coming year. Then Yom Kippur is a very personal, stock-taking, examining the relationship, correcting what needs to be corrected, strengthening what needs to be strengthened. Kind of like a repair of whatever damage we caused last year. And now that those two things are taken care of, now comes the joy. Kind of like the relief. We made it through the serious stages, and we did it well, we did it successfully. We are written in the book of life, we're going to have a good year. We're starting with a clean slate. It's an occasion for happiness. And the happiness comes from the feeling of closeness. The sukkah, the little hut that we sit in and have our meals in for these 8 days, is kind of a physical expression, the physical manifestation of God's love. The fact that he gives us a mitzvah is an expression of love. Because every mitzvah reveals something about him. So by giving us a mitzvah, he's telling us what is precious to him, what is pleasurable for him, and invites us to be part of it. That's a very significant act of love. So the sukkah is the physical manifestation where we are completely embraced and surrounded by the mitzvah. The four walls of the sukkah and the covering of the sukkah, we are embraced completely from 6 sides. The first letter, Hebrew letter, of the word sukkah is the samach, and the physical shape of the samach is pretty much a circle, a closed circle. Well, that represents the entire sukkah. When you are enveloped by God's love from all 6 sides, so no matter which direction you're moving in, and no matter how high you are, no matter how low you are, top and bottom, you're enveloped in his love, in his embrace. And that is symbolized by the letter samach, which is a circle. It provides security. You're secure in his embrace. That letter, the letter samach, is also numerically, it is the number 60. And the number 60 is associated with protection, with safety. The problem with safety is that when you have walls surrounding you, you are safe within. You are protected within those walls. Those walls keep the insides in. like your skin keeps your insides in, but it also keeps the outsides out, which means you may be very secure in God's embrace, but you're not open or vulnerable enough to let other people in. So what protects you also isolates you. And that's why we need the other letters of the word sukkah. The other letter, the chaf, has 3 walls. Instead of being completely closed, it's open on one side. That means there's a vulnerability. But then there's the third letter of the word sukkah, which is the hay, and the hay is shaped as 2 connecting walls and 1 partial wall. So it's like 2.5 walls instead of 3, or 2 walls plus something extra. And that also is a kosher sukkah. So you can have a sukkah of 3 walls, you can have a sukkah of 4 walls, you can have a sukkah of 2 walls plus a little third section. So we're told it's like the embrace. When a person embraces another, he uses his arm. You envelop another person in your arms. Well, the arm is made up of 3 parts. The upper arm, the forearm, and then the hand. The hand is like a partial wall. So when you embrace someone with your arm, it's really 2.5 walls. You're surrounding the person from 2 plus something sides. And that is a complete hug. There's nothing lacking there. But if you think about the analogy, the physical analogy, you embrace someone with your arm, and the arm has 3 parts. Yeah, but the arm is connected to you. So when you embrace someone, it's not only the arm, it's your body. The body that your arm is connected to. So you really have 3 plus walls in the embrace. So the idea is the arm is what functions, what brings the other person into the embrace. But the closeness to your body is the main thing. It's not the arm. The main significant part of an embrace is that you hug the person to yourself. Now, the functional part of it is the arm. The arm actually reaches around the other person and brings them close. So the sukkah literally means God wants us closer to Him. The sukkah is the arm that reaches around and brings us closer to Him. So in our holistic approach, 4 walls is the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and the physical. If you're healthy in all four realms, then you're a completely healthy person. What is the spiritual? The spiritual means that you know that you are connected to God and you're never alone. That He wants you closer to Him. That's your spiritual awareness, your spiritual pleasure, your spiritual condition. It's actually more than spiritual, but let's call it spiritual. It's actually godly. But that is one of our needs. We function best when we know who our Creator is, we know where our life is coming from, and we know what His purpose is. If you know your purpose, and you're pursuing your purpose, and you are serving God, you are a very healthy person. The problem is that may leave others out. People who are completely secure in their relationship with God are not always the best people socially. They're not the friendliest. They're not the most available for intimate relationship with other people. The fact that the sukkah can be kosher with 3 walls means that you're also healthy in a mental state. That your mind is focused, you're aware of your life on earth, you're not just a soul, you're also a personality. And so you allow others in, and you include them in your relationship with God. That's the sukkah of 3 walls. The sukkah of 2.5 walls means that you are healthy with your connection to God, you're healthy in your connection to other people, and the connection to other people actually results in behavior. Because there are people who are very nice with others. They're very sociable. They're your best friend, emotionally, but not physically. The half wall represents the doing, which is also the part of the arm that is the hand, which is the main tool of doing. So, the sukkah of 3 walls means you're secure with God. The sukkah of 3 walls means you are secure with God and with people. And the sukkah of 2.5 walls is that your security with people and with God expresses itself in action. Then you are a healthy human being. But in our relationship with God, the same is true. We have to be connected to God on a spiritual, soulful level. Our soul is literally a piece of God from above, so the connection is there. It's unbreakable. It's given, and that's the idea that we are chosen. Being chosen is not an emotion, and it's not a behavior. It's not an act. Chosen means you're the one. That connection is given from above. And that's why we are chosen, not we choose. Chosenness comes from above, and it comes natural. So That's the healthy state in our connection to God. But what does that do for us? Well, the second stage is that you have to get to know God. Pretty much like a marriage. First you get married. And at the marriage ceremony you say, "You are the one. You are my lifelong mate, soul mate, my intended one." But what's the stage after that? You got to get to know each other. You have to become familiar mentally with the other person's needs, with the other person's wants, with the other person's agony and ecstasy. This getting to know each other produces genuine love. To know someone is to love them. So the better you know and understand, the more you're going to love. The more mysterious and vague your knowledge is, the more vague the love is going to be. So the third stage is the emotional bond. And then the fourth stage is what you do out of this love and out of this attachment. How do you express it in behavior? In other words, does the love permeate to your actions? The stronger the love, the healthier the love, the further it will reach. Meaning, I can love somebody very, very much, but that's all. I'm content with that love. Do I express the love verbally? No, not necessarily. Do I express it in actions and behavior? No, not necessarily. But I do love very much. But that is a very limited love, not a very powerful love. It's only an emotion. Love is supposed to be more than that. If the love is real and deep, it changes you. You start to speak differently and you start to act differently. And so if you love someone in a healthy way, which means not in a selfish way, you're going to find yourself speaking lovingly, because your speech is going to change. And if it's really healthy, then you're going to find yourself behaving lovingly. Loving behavior will come naturally, and you will actually enjoy it. You're doing something for the person you love, even though for yourself you would never do this. And yet you're enjoying it. You enjoy doing for the other person, where you're not gaining anything at all. That is the final test of the truth and strength of the love. And that's why we know we're connected to God, because our soul is a little piece of God. We believe in God, we know He's God, we know His Torah. That's all very exciting. But when is the relationship really complete? Not the more I believe and the more connected I feel, because that could isolate me. The proof of the validity of the love is that doing something that I would never do for myself, yet I do it for God, is actually enjoyable. That's what love does. Love makes doing for someone else a pleasure. You can do for someone else, and without too much pleasure, just out of a sense of duty. You have to, you better, or you'll never hear the end of it, so you do what you have to do. There's no joy in that. But when there is real love, the love penetrates into your action function and makes it pleasurable to do for the person you love. That's what the sukkah is. God's embrace that gives us the security that we are not alone, but on the other hand, we are building the sukkah, we are sitting in the sukkah, we are eating in the sukkah, we're making the blessing over the sukkah, which means that our awareness of our connection to God and our love for God makes doing for Him a pleasure. That's just a long description of the simple mitzvah of eating in a sukkah. The message of it all is, if everything was perfect, if all your emotions were healthy, if your knowledge was thorough and complete, and if your faith was strong and accurate, what would the result be? That you would disconnect from other people, disconnect from speech, and disconnect from action, because when you're alone, you don't talk to yourself, and you don't do yourself favors. No, the opposite. If the faith is correct, and the knowledge is thorough, and the love is real, then you will speak more lovingly, and you will do more expressing that love. So the final expression of a relationship is the action. If it doesn't lead to action and it doesn't make the action pleasurable, the relationship is not complete. It's missing probably the punchline. The action is the punchline. So on Rosh Hashanah, we get our head straight. On Yom Kippur, we got our heart straight. Now is time for the joy of serving. So for the next 8 days, no matter what news you hear, and it may not be pleasant, God forbid, no matter what you hear, these are days of joy. And if, God forbid, there is unhappy news, then you have to make the joy even stronger. We'd gain nothing by allowing the pain or the bad news to destroy the joy, because then we're just completely in the dark. We're consumed by the darkness. We're never consumed by darkness, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Things are going to get much, much better. They have been getting better quietly, unnoticed by the media. They're going to get so much better that the media will not be able to ignore it. But in the meantime, these are days of joy, and you don't let anything rain on your parade. So we don't diminish the joy, we don't compromise on the joy, because joy is valid in and of itself, regardless of what the news is. Joy is life. You don't compromise on that. So let's get tough about happiness. Let's be determined to be happy, because that is the healthiest response to whatever is going on in the world. If things are good, then you have to be happy. And if things are not good, then you have to be happier. So let's all have a really happy sukkah, Sukkot. We have mitzvahs to eat in the sukkah, to shake the lulav and the etrog, to share it with others. It is a grand time. We need to celebrate our incredible relationship with God. And then God will take care of the rest, and we will have a year of nothing but good joy, nothing but good news, nothing but truth, and truth is always good news. We're headed in that direction. There's a handful of people trying to prevent it, but they're going to lose. They're going to lose inevitably, because you can't fight the truth. So, Happy New Year. Enjoy the holiday. Find a sukkah somewhere that, if you don't have your own, find a sukkah that you can eat something in and make the blessing and thank God for that embrace, for that comforting embrace. And at the end of the holiday, when we speak again, we will have incredibly good news. Be well and enjoy the holiday.
Thank you very, very much. These beautiful words.
Thank you,
Very
Mara Rivka.
inspiring.